Welcome to a new episode of Copa America Previews. Today's episode is on the nation that is home to Karol G, home to Arepas. Back in 2022, Colombia did not know what a goal sounded like. They went 7 straight Golden Ball World Cup qualifiers games without scoring a goal. 7 straight. But now, this team is on fire. So has the narrative changed around Colombia? Now from not being contenders to now possibly winning this Copa America? Let's have a deep dive on the Colombian team, their strengths, the manager, key players, and further ado, let's get into the preview and prediction for Colombia. Colombia are a very competitive team when it comes to Copa America. Since 1993, they've made what? 5 semifinals? That's pretty good. Obviously, they have only won 1 Copa America in their history, and that's when they hosted it back in 2001, where they didn't concede a single goal. I mean, that tournament didn't have Argentina. I mean, you had Honduras, who finished in 3rd place at that Copa America. It was a bit of a weird one, but Colombia, they won it, so congrats to them. I wonder, since that 2014, when they had the exceptional World Cup run, I am on this bandwagon. If Falcao was fit, Colombia would have made it to the final. Although Germany would have been a tough ask, but Colombia were playing sensational football during that World Cup. The way they just destroyed Japan everybody, Colombia were simply sublime. So you kind of think that 2016, maybe they should have done a little bit better. Obviously, they lost to eventual champions Chile because Chile scored 2 early goals in that game. 2019, quarterfinal, lost on penalties to Chile. 2021, it was basically Lucho who won that bronze medal. Let's be honest, Lucho won that bronze medal for Colombia with that sensational performance against Peru. So now we go to 2024. Now, if this Copa America was last summer or 2022 end of the year, like the World Cup, you would not have any hope for Colombia. Because those guys did not know what a goal was. How can you go not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 straight games without scoring a goal? 7. Think about that, people. And remember, they had Carlos Queiroz, and with Carlos Queiroz, they lost 6-1 to Ecuador. Colombia were a bit of a mess. But now they have a new manager, Néstor Lorenzo, who's been there now since 2022, and he's flawless. He hasn't lost the game. Colombia got the cumbia back. They're dancing, man. They feel it. They got the swagger. That's what Colombia need. They need that sort of confidence, and they're playing with it. I would like to see Colombia go up against Argentina. That's the only thing. Obviously, they beat Brazil. You could say Brazil were a bit of a mess, and Lucho came up clutch. His dad, we saw the reaction of his dad. It was unbelievable. Draw with Uruguay, draw away to Ecuador. It wasn't really a great game. They did beat Spain, and Spain did not feel their strongest team that day, but still, getting a win over Spain, it will always feel good for Colombia. And then recently, they beat Romania 3-2. So with these results, and it's now 21 games unbeaten, which is the longest right now in international football, is Colombia. When you look at these results and performances as well, it's not just the results, it's also the performances. Keep it low scoring sometimes, but also they have the difference makers in their team. They got guys like Lucho, they got James, Arias, all these sort of guys, Borge. They have a lot of players that can be the difference maker in a game. You need that star. You can have a bunch of good players, but you need those stars to really shine, and Colombia have that. And they are having so much confidence heading into this Copa America. So I ask you, Colombians, and everybody who's watching and who's going to be watching the Copa America, are Colombia one of the favorites? Are they top 4? I would say right now, they most certainly are. And the man behind this success now for Colombia is Néstor Lorenzo. Now, I did not initially know who Néstor was when they hired him. He was managing in Peru for Melgar. I was like, okay, interesting hire. But actually, he was the assistant for Jose Pekerman when Pekerman was the Colombian national team manager. So I was like, okay, now I see the connection. He understands Colombian football. He's worked with some of these players. It makes sense. They tried to go for Carlos Queiroz. Didn't work out. Let's go back to what was good. And that was Jose Pekerman. The one thing I would say is he's brought a serious confidence booster to this team. Have the right players. And it's also good when I see the selection for Colombia. You got the experienced players, but then you have the youngsters like Yasser Asprilla, who's really killing it at Watford, and I really want to see him at this Copa America. That's when you know you have a good manager that, okay, we got the experienced guys, but we have the young talents, and we need the young talents to get some legs and minutes in this Copa America and the friendlies. If you haven't lost a game, and he's been now manager for what, for 18 games? You haven't lost a game? Shout out to Néstor. But it's cool doing a Golden Ball World Cup qualifiers. But let's see what you do in the big tournament for South America. Oh, Lucho, man. I love Luis Diaz. As a Liverpool fan, when we signed him, I said, Dios mío, gracias. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Because I knew how good this guy was. Now, when I watch him every week for Liverpool, it is frustrating because I know the talent he has. He has supreme talent. But his finishing this season and sometimes his decision making has been woeful. But no doubt, nobody can deny Lucho is a difference maker in a game. And you need that in international football. And we saw that exactly against Brazil. 2 goals, boom. We saw that the last Copa America in the COVID in 2021. What did he do? He won that bronze medal. A bunch of these Liverpool fans and some Liverpool channels that I checked out a video for, they're like, oh, sell him, he's a bum, this sort of stuff. Okay, you sell him and you get who? Because I can guarantee this. If Lucho went to Barcelona, oh, he would kill it. Oh, then he would get so much praise. And maybe that's the move he wants and that's his family wants, which I have no problem with. When it's South Americans, they're going to want to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. That's just a fact. Nobody wants to play for Luton Town or Burnley or Bayer Leverkusen. The dream is to play for Barcelona or Real Madrid. So if Lucho wants to do that, fine by me. But his role with Colombia, he knows. He is the guy. He is that guy. Presidente, Príncipe, you name it. He is the guy. When the going gets tough and they need a bit of magic, go to Lucho. And Lucho needs to really perform at this Copa America. If he doesn't perform, I don't think Colombia win this Copa America at all. They don't have a sniff of it. But if he plays similar to that same level of 2021, and now everybody else is better and everybody else is playing with confidence, we're going to see a scary Colombia. Lucho is the guy, and he needs to play like it, and I'm excited to see what he does at this Copa America. He's one of those players when you watch as a neutral, you're like, oh my God, I could pay to watch him every week. That's the sort of player Luis Diaz is, and I really hope he has a good Copa America so he can silence some Liverpool fans who really just, I don't understand. You know, sometimes I wonder, do people really watch football or do they just have agendas? Here is the squad then for Colombia at this Copa America, or this their provisional squad so far, as there's 28 players called up. So the goalkeepers, I mean, there is Ospina there, but it should be Vargas from Atlas. He has started the last couple of games, and I would think he might be starting. I mean, Colombians, let me know. Would you go for Ospina or Vargas? Defensively, they have Davinson Sanchez, Arias, Yeremina, Daniel Munoz, Johan Mojica, Jon Lukumi, Carlos Cuesta, Dever Machado, and Yerson Mosquera. Jon Lukumi for Bologna has been phenomenal. I mean, he is the first player in that defense for Colombia. Incredible. Now, I wonder who's going to pair next to him. Is it going to be either Davinson Sanchez or Yeremina, one of those guys? And then right back, it is going to be Daniel Munoz, because I did not think he was this good, but watching him for Crystal Palace when he made the move there, and especially when he was playing away at Anfield, I was like, okay, this guy is a baller. And then he scored a ridiculous acrobatic and gymnastics and ballet. It must have been some cumbia dance, because that goal he scored against Spain was phenomenal. So Daniel Munoz is also a very key player, and I will show you more with the tactic. And I wonder who's going to play left back. Is it going to be Mojica? Most likely. He's got the experience, and he's been in these tough situations before. Midfield, I mean, the number 10 will be James Rodriguez. I mean, no questions. All right, cool. We move on. We move on. I wonder who then will be the 2 8s behind him. One of them should be Jefferson Lerma, which I would think so. The other one, it could be Richo Rios, Carrascal, Matias Uribe, one of those 3. You let me know in the comments down below. Who would you pair next to Jefferson Lerma? Because I think he's a guarantee in one of those midfield, and then James is going to be the number 10. Shout out to Juan Quintero. Sorry, Boca fans, as I had to remind them of what happened. Now, the attack. You got Luis Diaz, Borge, Miguel Borja, Luis Sinistera, Jon Duran, and Jon Cordoba. So, Luis Diaz is a guarantee. Then you have Jon Arrayas from Fluminense. He's going to be on that right side. Really exciting player. I wish he could maybe add a bit more goals and assists to his game for the national team, because with Fluminense, he balls out. I remember watching him a lot during the Copa Libertadores last season. I was like, who the heck is this guy? Very creative player. I like Arias a lot. Now, the striker will be an interesting conversation, because you have Borge, but Borge, I'm not the biggest fan of him. I'm not the biggest fan of him. If he was at Eintracht Frankfurt, that's a different story, because the guy at Eintracht Frankfurt during that Europa League campaign was phenomenal. But Miguel Borja, now playing at River Plate, he has to start. One is because of the celebration. The celebration is phenomenal, but his play has been phenomenal. So he has to start. But what I like a lot is Jon Duran then coming off the bench. Because every time Jon Duran comes off the bench for Aston Villa or is starting, this guy makes an impact. And he's only, what, 20 years old? 20 years old. Duran, he could be a difference maker off that bench. Really. Him and then Yasser Asprilla as well. Really phenomenal player, that Asprilla guy. So Colombia, when you look at this squad, they got a wonderful balance of experience and the young stars. And a lot of these players are in their prime, like Yeremina, Yon Lukumi, Mojica. Most of these players are in their prime. So you kind of think to yourself, this is a fantastic opportunity for Colombia to win this Copa America, or at least make it far. So this is how they kind of set up recently with friendlies and CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. As you can see, Munoz is going to be guaranteed right back. The only question marks is going to be the striker, the other center back next to Yon Lukumi, and then the 2 8s behind James Rodriguez. I think everywhere else is pretty much a guarantee, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What would be your starting 11 for Colombia? As you can see here with more of a tactical setup, you just see how important Lucho is. And then James Rodriguez kind of dictating, creating. This is the key here. Those two, if James and Lucho play at an exceptional level, Colombia are going to be a dangerous team. But if they're quiet, then you have to look at Arias. Then you have to look at Borja. Those two then have to step up in their absence. The front four should just do the work. Then you have obviously Daniel Munoz, you have Mojica who can overlap and create width down the right and left side of the pitch. Where would you characterize is the weakest link for Colombia? Because when I watch them in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers, they do create the chances. Sometimes I feel like they're a little bit wasteful with it, and sometimes they're a little bit running out of ideas, whereas they just give the ball to Lucho and they say Lucho creates some magic. You really can't do that for, what, 6 games in a Copa America? It's quite difficult. You need to have a bit more of a balance. Okay, sometimes if it doesn't work out, get the ball to your best guy. There needs to be a better tactical plan. I'm intrigued to see what this team is going to cook up with this Copa America. And lastly then, what is the prediction for Colombia, Los Cafeteros, at this Copa America? It should be a semifinal. If you're unbeaten for 21 games and you're playing great football, you're beating Brazil, you're drawing with Uruguay, you're beating Spain, you're playing with all this confidence. Now this group is tough because Paraguay, we know, are no joke. These guys will get a 0-0 and be satisfied and celebrate it like it's a win. That's Paraguay. Brazil, they're a bit of a wild card because they're going to be a very young team, new manager still. Costa Rica, we know they're going to finish last. So if you're Colombian, you need to win this group. You do not want to play, most likely, Uruguay in that quarterfinal, because that would be, it would be a great football game, and is Colombia better than Uruguay in a neutral setting? I don't know. So the objective for Colombia is, no doubt, semi-final. They are a dark horse to win this Copa America. Now, if you characterize dark horse, there's only 16 teams, so it's a bit hard to characterize dark horse. But Colombia are 4 favorites. It's Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, and Colombia are 4 favorites. So I wonder how they're going to deal with the pressure and expectation. There's going to be a bit of expectation after missing the World Cup. Like, you cannot do that. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. How far do you think Los Cafeteros will go at this Copa America? Is it a semi-final? Final? Do you think they're actually going to win it? It would be sensational to see Colombia win a Copa America. The scenes would be crazy. Can you imagine what Luis Diaz's dad is going to look like? Oh, Luis Diaz's dad is going to go absolutely insane. There we have it, people. The preview and prediction for Colombia at the Copa America. Remember to check out all the other previews of the Copa America on the Copa America playlist on the channel. I've already done Group A, B, C. I've already done Paraguay, Colombia. We have 2 more, and then we're all done with the previews, and soon the predictions will be out. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world, and until next time, adios.